Moving on to the evening games, we got the Rams against the Cardinals. It feels like this could be some sneaky upside, maybe. Two offenses. We've got Kyren Williams back. Kyler Murray's starting to get his legs under him. You getting in some hype for this one?
I think, there's definitely some interest in this game. I think, the Kyren Williams stuff, is definitely interesting because the Rams have been run heavy all year, more so than we've probably seen at times under the Sean McVay era. And particularly in the red zone, they've been more run heavy there than I think any point that I can remember going back to possibly around sort of like Todd Gurley era. Before Kyren Williams went on IR, he had 4 of 6 games with over 17 PPR points. The Cardinals, they allow the third most fantasy points to running backs. So I'll be plugging him straight back in. I've got no concerns about him. I think he's the kind of running back who can give you week-winning performances. Cooper Kupp, if he plays, I'm probably going to try not to start him, which really hurts me. He was my wide receiver 1 coming into the year until his hamstring injury. But it's just not there. It's like Matthew Stafford isn't playing good enough. He's averaging a 56 completion rate over his last 5 games. He's had 5 games below 60% this year, which just isn't what we need, particularly if you're talking about those kind of layup shots to Cooper Kupp. They should be easy completions. We should be seeing more of them. And of course, Puka Nacua is mixing into the slot a decent amount more. In previous years, we'd see Cooper Kupp well up over 50% slot snap rate. This year, it's kind of hovering around 45%. Puka, he had 18 points last week after 2 down games, one of them, of course, with Brett Ripien. And I think he'll have a very good week this week. The Cardinals allow the 10th most points to slot receivers, allow the 12th most fantasy points to wide receivers in general. They allow a league-high 72% completion rate to wide receivers because they just can't stop anything. I think, the defense has been pluckier than we expected on some levels. They've got some good players, but they don't stop the ball through the air. They don't stop the ball through the ground. And I would be confident that the Rams will be fairly safe bets. Tyler Higbee is somebody that I would avoid even in DFS, even if Cooper Kupp misses out. The Cardinals have allowed 4 fewest fantasy points to tight ends this year. And Tyler Higbee's had 0 touchdowns, 0 fantasy relevance. And unless he starts catching touchdowns, he's just not going to be relevant. On the Cardinals side of things, for me, it's really, can Hollywood Brown get going? We expected all offseason, the talk was you draft Hollywood Brown because when Kyler Murray comes back, he's going to have a 30+% target share. It's just going to be explosive. We know the two of them have got a good relationship. And then in the first 2 games back, we see 3.5 PPR points average across those 2 games with Kyler. That is miserable. I mean, we saw Rondale Moore get 9 targets in Kyler Murray's first game back. And then last week, it was Greg Dortch who got 8 targets. So try to decipher the wide receiver room feels very tricky. Rondale saved his day last week with a touchdown. Greg Dortch, I don't think anyone expected that performance. Everyone was kind of focused on whether Michael Wilson played or not. But the guy you've talked about for 2, maybe 3 weeks in a row on the Dynasty Rises and Fallers video, Trey McBride, it's absolute elite production. Since week 8, he's 3rd in tight end targets per game. And the Rams allow the 10th most fantasy points to tight ends. So I think you can plug and play him again for another good week.
Yeah, I think Trey McBride, look, I love the guy. I was hyping him up before the season. I was hyping him up as a rookie, and I'm so pleased to see him finally get the shares and the opportunity. I think for me, he's a top 5 tight end rest of season, which sounds wild to say, but that's the way he's producing since Zach Ertz went down. Marquise Brown, I know the stats aren't there. I know the production's not been there. And yes, I don't play in any points per nearly catch leagues, but he has been so close the last 2 weeks to some explosive catches down the sideline. And it just feels like it's coming. So, yeah, I don't know if I have the confidence to plug and play him this week, but it's almost there. And hopefully, Kyren Williams, hopefully you've been listening to me over the last month and you've gone out and bought some shares because this guy was an absolute stud when he was playing. I've never seen a guy that's produced as he did be as cheap as he has in Dynasty leagues over the last 3-4 weeks. I think that window is about to come slamming shut on Sunday because I'm expecting some big points against this Cardinals.